Look up from your telescope, take me on this journey home. I don't wanna wait no more.
All right, y'all, the moment we've all been waiting for. Olivia Latrice Baker chooses violence. We already knew it was coming. Now it's time to get into the fallout. Let's talk about episode 12, Fight the Power. Whew, child, this episode had a lot going on, and I don't know if y'all have noticed it or not, but the writers, creatives behind All American, after we got back from Vegas, and after probably episode 8, they put the skates on these episodes. We are flying through time, y'all. We are moving very, very quickly. If you haven't noticed, there are a lot of things that are happening off camera that we're not getting to see, and I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that in this episode breakdown. I really want y'all to key in on that, because one thing that I get in the comment section is response to some of my thoughts and ideas. It's like, oh, we need more time. We need more time. That wouldn't happen just yet. But we got to be mindful of the time frame that the writers are going along with, and not just the logical time frame, because I feel like they're skipping over quite a bit of things and moving us through. I.e., in this episode, we get to see Layla and Olivia back as friends, and it's just like, oh wait, but are we going to really hash this out? Oh no, we're not. Oh, they're just gonna be okay. Cool. Okay, cool. Let's do it. But let's start at the top of the episode, how I normally do. Let's get into this. All right, the top of the episode. Everybody choosing violence. Laura's choosing violence. She got the annulment papers already drawn up. You know, she's top tier lawyer material, DA lady. Don't even worry about it. I got y'all's annulment papers right here. Just go ahead and sign here, date here, and it's all good to go. And then across from her is captain of the Choose Violence, Simone's mama, who we've also gotten Aunt Viv with. Like, it wasn't enough for them to Aunt Viv us with Layla's daddy. They are now Aunt Viving us with Simone's mama, because this is not Simone's mama. But y'all, we gotta give grace. We gotta be able to move on. We can't stay stuck on stuff like this. COVID-19 has done a number on the world, has done a number on our country, as well as our creatives in Hollywood. They are having to work around and work with different restrictions, safety precautions, and all of that. And I'm not 100% sure of the story behind Simone's new mama. I'm going to look into it and give y'all a little update once I actually have time to do that. But I'm pretty sure that she got swapped out as well because of COVID. As you know, Layla's daddy got swapped out because of scheduling conflicts and safety things and stuff that was going on in reference to COVID while they were shooting. So they had to go ahead and move forward with production. And unfortunately, they were not able to move forward with Elvis. And I'm going to assume the same for Simone's mama. But she still brought the energy. She still brought the attitude. And Simone's mama chooses violence at all times, and she was with it. So at the top of this episode, we literally just see these two bomb matriarchs, these two very strong matriarchs on opposing sides of this position going at it. Laura's position is very clear. They need to get an annulment. They need to slow this relationship train down. She didn't know what they was thinking. She already got enough on her plate. Boom, 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 let it be done. And surprise, surprise, Simone's mama is like, well, Simone ain't gonna be a divorcee, so we need to figure out how else we gonna make this work. And I did not anticipate that, because when Simone got pregnant, like, her mom was just like, okay, bet, abortion tomorrow. Okay, bet, yes. You're not doing this. So the fact that she is, I'm not going to say 100% on board, because that probably would be a poor characterization, but she's with them staying married. I did not anticipate that. And in this episode, I realized, because we don't see him enough, I don't give him enough flowers. But there are two great parents running around All Americans world. And of course, we know the GOAT is Grace. But Simone's daddy is right behind Grace. That man comes with it. He is sensible. He is level-headed. He is loving. And he is the only other parent that got it together aside from Grace James in our All-American world. So shout out to him. He's playing referee at the start of this episode. And I love how they chose to start this episode off, because we get this high note of this tension around this wedding. Are they going to get a divorce? Are they going to get an annulment? What's going to happen? These two sides are battling, yada, yada, yada. But in the background, oh yeah, Olivia released this footage. So bam, more tension. And then we go right into Olivia admitting, I dropped the footage. I did what I had to do. You ain't going to do about it, sis. Olivia's attitude, yo, I was just like, yo, where did she get this battery from? Like, I understand, Liv, that you feel very guilty for what happened between you and Spencer in that car with the car crash, and then asking him to switch spaces, and you understood how you were wrong and all of that. But her guilt wrapped in this privilege that pushed her to release this body cam footage, sis, it's working against you because she's literally moving and not even thinking about possible repercussions. She literally is just making very, very rash decisions. And yes, I do believe her releasing the body cam footage was a rash decision. And I gave you guys a breakdown of why I felt like that when I did my should Olivia have released the body cam footage, because while I do understand, right, like I probably would have done the same thing. I was having this response or this conversation in the comment section with some of y'all because I did the video of should Olivia have released the body cam footage, and we talked about all of the possibilities. And one of the possibilities that I mentioned in that video was that she could potentially compromise her mother's case against these cops by releasing this footage. And lo and behold, that is exactly what happened. And while, yes, this is something that art is mirroring life, and there's so many times in real life that we do not have the footage and they're suppressing evidence and they're not letting the public see and they're trying to cover up these cops killing people. In this moment, that wasn't the case, but she was operating from that mindset. And yes, I probably would have been someone similar. So like if I had access to it, I would have did it. But the only thing that would have stopped me from doing it is if my mother was the DA. I don't know if I would have been able to release that footage or steal that footage if I knew it was my mother's career, reputation, characterization, all of that on the line. And the fact that Olivia did not think twice about it being her mother, that was the thing that just threw up the red flag for me. So I understood like her reasoning behind wanting to release the footage, but the fact that she never had any pause with it being her mother that she was putting in this very compromising position, I was just like, all right, guys, this is moving a little rash. This is doing a lot. And y'all, one time for the writers, I know we go back and forth with the writers. We ask them to come outside because sometimes they be giving us some stuff and we just like, look, that ain't what we asked for. But today they came with it, and specifically, I feel like they came with it when it comes to the dialogue. There was so much subtext in the dialogue. This is truly chef's kiss. And I love the conversations that they were having, from Kia saying, hey, this should have been released 5 months ago. At least now there's no way that these people don't get indicted. And then it's like, no, there is a way, and we're going to show you how. And these are the conversations that I feel like don't necessarily get had in real life, to all of the complications and nuances that are happening behind the scenes when we are dealing with all of these racial injustices, social injustices, and how our public servants are handling it. So yes, not everybody is out to get us. Not everybody is, here to protect the system. Some people are really working to dismantle, to rewrite, to revolutionize the system from within. And right now we're just at a very volatile time where it's hard to clearly see like which side people fall on based on actions within the moment, especially if you can't step back and get a 50,000 foot view. And I absolutely love it. So from Kia and Chris's dialogue, from that and then Chris like, I'm too young to be this tired, like says every black young person in America right now. Like, we are living in some very interesting times, and I'm exhausted. I know some of y'all are exhausted, and that was just so real. But then specifically, I want to drop in and talk about the dialogue that Olivia uses when she is standing in her truth and non-apologetic, completely not remorseful at all. And, Billy comes in and he starts to chastise her, and he tells her to apologize to her mother, and she's just like, our lives, which means our black lives. She does not understand. She does not get it. She was not doing what she needed to do. And I'm just like, Lord, Liv, no, your mama love you, girl. Your mama really does love you. She might be a little bit neglectful at times. She might not catch everything. She might be a little slow on the uptick. But sis does love you. But I thought it was freaking brilliant how they were actually able to use those words in this moment to say one thing. Even though Olivia said one thing, she was saying a whole other thing. And again, I thought that was chef's kiss. So shout out to the writers, because y'all did y'all thing. All right, moving right along. Let's talk about Miss Simone, because she's definitely has a lot going on in this episode. She is stressed not only with Laura Baker trying to get her marriage annulled and her mom coming with it like, nah, ain't gonna happen, but she's very worried about Jordan. We haven't really seen Jordan not swing back into things, and don't want to take this lightly. Like, him not being able to play football is definitely a big deal. I think I just struggle with Jordan because in the last 2 seasons, we saw him really kind of waver when it came to football. It seemed like at one point he was only playing football because he wanted Billy's approval. And then once they got through that whole thing when he was having the tension with Spencer coming to live with them and all that, it's like, okay, you don't need football to get your dad's approval. He loves you. Okay, cool. So then, all right, football doesn't matter as much. And then, sometimes it does, and then other times it doesn't. There's another point in this season where he was very much so consumed with Simone, even towards the end of last season, very much so consumed with Simone and what she had going on in the episode in this season. He actually went to her and put her before football. So I just kind of struggle with Jordan in reference to what he actually cares about. Like, I know for sure that he really cares about Simone, but other than that, like, he's wavered a lot with football. And I guess I can't really compare him to Spencer because you know that Spencer cares about football. Like, that's never a question. Even when Spencer quit football, you could understand why he did it because of his dad and all the feelings and emotions and things that he didn't know how to process with that. But I still got more that Spencer really cared about football than what I've ever gotten from Jordan, but whatever. So Simone is making her rounds and she's talking to everybody about helping Jordan, and then coming to find out that people don't know. JJ didn't know that they were married. Asher didn't know, and Asher feels some type of way. When she talks to Layla, it's not really clear if Layla knew or not, but she kind of talks to Layla more so to push her to go and speak to Olivia. But then ultimately Simone ends up talking to Spencer, and of course Spencer is the one who's actually going to be able to get through to him. And shout out to some of y'all amazing fans, because a lot of people are picking up on the chemistry that Simone and Spencer have as friends. I do think that they're actually really good friends, and the fact that they both love Jordan so very much, it makes sense that they could really connect. When one pops up and like, hey, I need your help, they're like, okay, cool, I got it. I'm gonna go talk to him. Speaking of Spencer, I thought it was interesting how they handled Spencer's storyline in this episode, because he hasn't watched the footage of Tamika's killing, but he is still pushed very hard to fight for change, because he is really drawn back to all of his lived experiences. Like, he didn't need to see that happen because it happened to him. The only difference is he has yet to die behind it. And this is weighing Spencer down from the start of the episode all the way throughout, and blocking him from actually enjoying and celebrating how far him and the team have come in reference to being able to make it to this point where they are fighting for a place in the playoffs. And I love how Grace was able to have a conversation with him about both feelings can, exist synonymously. He does not just have to be depressed and sad about this loss of life with Tamika, but he can also still feel very prideful, or he can still feel very proud of all that him and his team have accomplished, and enjoy the road to the playoffs as well. I thought that was such an important message, because that's something that I had to learn throughout last year during this pandemic. It's so hard to see so much suffering and all of the things that are happening within culture, and specifically towards Black people, and then also being able to smile about little wins in your own life. So I love that they actually included that and had that conversation. I want to go to Billy real quick. So Billy is undergoing neurological tests in this episode to figure out what's going on and why there are moments in his life that everyone else can remember, but he doesn't. And then on top of that, GW comes in with the smoke, pissed about Jordan's concussion and marriage news, but he plans to rectify that in the way that GW can. But honestly, I feel like GW was bearable in this episode, which means that there's some smoke coming, because GW is very rarely ever bearable. He always chooses violence, and he didn't choose violence in this episode, so I know that he is saving it up and it's coming. But GW confirms that Billy beat up Carter the week he found out about his mother's diagnosis. But we still got to get more on that story, because GW walks off after Billy tells him that he feels like GW tried to erase his mother from their lives the moment that she got sick. And then we also learn from Billy that the professionals believe that his grief around his mother's passing is what's causing Billy's memory loss. And thank God, child, because I was not ready, nor will I ever be, to see Billy have CTE and us to see him deteriorate due to that. So please keep that CTE storyline far, far, far away from Billy Baker. I want to interrupt this video real quick to just say it's the two grown-ass adults plotting on a teenage girl that's just sending me. Like, do y'all have relationships, jobs, anything else to do with your damn time? Tamia Cooper has been on my last nerve this entire season, but Mo, you are a clown for this secret in Coop's future mission. And newsflash, sis, Coop is already working on ending her own future, so you could fall back and let her finish. Go figure out some grown folks' business to have. Y'all tell me what y'all think about Mo steal Coop's future mission in the comment section down below, because I'm moving on. Back to Jordan. Jordan was acting real questionable in this episode, and it becomes really clear, very quick, that he truly believes that he is damaged and nothing without football, and can't seem to fathom why Simone would still want to be with him, let alone married to him. Boy, if you don't realize that Simone loves you by now, I don't really know what to tell you, because I can't. And this is what I struggle with. Y'all always are like, well, they're too young to be married, yada, yada, yada. I love Jordan and Simone together because I feel like Simone balanced him out, and Simone kept him from being this Jordan. This little privileged, whiny, get on everybody's nerves, vindictive, just doing the most Jordan that we saw in seasons 1 and 2 and half of 2. I just can't. Like, I don't want him to return to sender. I cannot. I will say, by the end of the episode, what do you know? Spencer is the one to start to help Jordan make sense of his world and put his life back together. And he does so by agreeing to help train Jordan in exchange for Jordan going to Dr. Spears. So you know what? I will take to this episode's Jordan fits and his tantrums if it means that he's going to go to therapy, because Dr. Spears gets everybody together, and I'm here for it. And y'all, I still think that Jermone are going to make it. So, you know, y'all can tell me in the comment section down below what you think, but I still believe that they're going to make it. And that's that on that. Shifting gears a bit, Shelby, Laura's chief of staff, gathers Olivia. Whew. This scene was truly chef's kiss. She tells Olivia all the work that she blew to hell and gave her a reality check that she needs. But my only issue with it, again, because I loved the scene, I loved everything about it, the only issue I have is that it always seems to be the people outside the Baker's home that give these kids the reality check and the get your shit together talks that they need. Why can't Billy and Laura lay the law down and still discipline and respecting these kids in the same way? That's a question. Y'all tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on that? Back, because I told y'all we were going to come back to Layla. Layla comes to reconcile and support Olivia, and they are able to get back to a friendly place by helping Olivia work through this huge mistake and revelation she has after Shelby reads her down. I'm going to save my commentary about how Olivia and Layla ended up on the couch watching Spencer's game on the TV together for another video on another day. Y'all feel free to comment in the comment section down below, because I'm going to leave that alone for now. I forgot to mention this when I was talking about Mo earlier, but Mo and Preach. Mo and Preach. Can y'all hear my blank stare and my slow blinking? Shout out to Preach for him shutting down Mo. Let's just hope he leaves it this way and we don't get no type of rekindling of that old thing. Y'all seem to think that Preach is on to Mo and knows that something is up and is about to play her, but I don't know. They ain't give us enough to go off of. And Preach be calling the audible every now and again, so I have no idea what he's about to do. And I thought the scene with Shelby and Olivia was my favorite of the episode, but then we get to Laura and Grace talking, and that is by far my favorite scene of the episode. We get to see Laura break, and we haven't seen her this emotional since Billy told her about the affair with Grace. We really get to see how deeply Laura truly does care about what's going on, and we get to see that she has been really doing the best that she can. And shout out to Grace, who clarifies that Olivia's actions aren't attacks on her mom, who she knows loves her and their family, but attacks on a system that is predicated on the oppression and is better torn down and rebuilt than continue to try to rewind and reverse, but still working within the same system that thrives off of this oppression and abuse that is supposed to protect us against. Grace really took us to church, y'all, and she got Laura together, made her feel better, but also educated her and gave us a lesson that we can actually apply in our real lives. I love you, Grace. And the episode closes on Crenshaw actually forfeiting. And this was so confusing for me, y'all, because I thought that when the other team forfeits as well, then it kind of creates like a draw, so they're not put out of the playoffs contention. But apparently their season is actually over. I am hoping for in the next episode or two, there's some kind of loophole, there's some kind of playoff, there's some kind of like something that they could do so that their season isn't actually over. But for right now, it looks like Crenshaw's season is actually over. Spencer gives a very stern and moving speech that really entices the team to say, yes, we need to stand up for Tamika. And they do so not just by taking a knee during the anthem, but by forfeiting the game. And that's it, y'all. That is my episode 12. Fight the Power breakdown. Now it is your turn. Jump down in the comment section down below and tell me what you thought of this episode. Tell me what you loved. Tell me what you hated. Tell me what questions you got. Let's chop it up, and you know how we do. If you're new here, I'm Erica Vane and I post new All American videos every day, sometimes twice a day, and you should really join the tribe by hitting subscribe. Yo, I have so much All American content on my channel, so if you are just finding me, you are in for a treat. I always link my All American playlist at the end, and I have 2 suggestions for other shows that you can watch. Also, if you really feeling the love and you want to support your good sis E, share this video on your Twitter, in your Instagram stories, on your Snapchat, wherever you thrive on social media. Share my video so that this community can continue to grow and we can continue the conversation. I love y'all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in my next amazing All American video. Bye.